It's my favorite time of the year, map changes. I've been watching pros very closely to see which new and sneaky ward spots they've found. Today I'm going to share those spots and some of my own so you can be ahead of the game. First is the Tormentor, specifically bottom. This is because it first appears bottom at 15 minutes, and in many pro games teams are prioritizing it right away, so lots of fights are happening in this area. Snaking from Falcons and many others like warding at the top of these stairs to the left of the Tormentor. This gives great vision of the Tormentor itself and the stream to the left to see enemies approaching. Or this spot on this little cliff, which will be harder for enemies to find. There's also a more obvious but very useful spot above near the Twin Gate. This will also do a great job giving vision during a fight or to see enemies coming in. Further up the stream, there are a lot of spots in this whole area that pros are loving. Maposhka from Team Spirit likes one at the top of these stairs. It's nice to prepare for a Tormentor fight or in the early game to see anyone moving around this Radiant Tier 1 tower. Or this one by Crit on these stairs to the left. This one is nice in the mid to late game to scout enemies farming in the new Radiant side stream. You can even see this new flooded camp below. And here's a spot that I haven't seen anyone use yet, but it's pretty good. It's near the edge of the map and serves mostly the same purpose as the previous ward. Great for scouting enemies farming in this area, and it isn't likely to be found. Moving all the way upstream, we can see this ward by Katayomi on Betboom. This is a really nice ward for scouting enemies moving out of the Radiant base. Specifically great when you're dire and want to punish any enemies coming out to find farm. Now let's flow back down the stream and head toward the bottom Roche pit. This is probably one of the most common ward spots I've noticed so far. On this cliff above the river. This gives great vision around Roche and the top of these stairs. It's also nice to place in the early game to scout enemies rotating to gank. Again, here are some alternatives that I've found that I haven't seen others using yet. If you can break this tree here, this spot is great. It gives a lot of vision of the river like before, but also a bit of this path below. As long as you're keeping your eyes peeled, slivers of vision like this in common paths are extremely useful. Next is a bit further to the left, and there are two versions of this one. One where you break a tree and another where you don't. If you can't break the tree, there's still room on this edge, again giving great vision of the river around the bottom side of Roche. If you can break a tree, break this one to the left of this spot. Your ward here will still give vision of the river and now some of the jungle. It'll even block this camp. And remember, trees respawn after 3 minutes. If you place your ward where the tree was, it won't respawn until your ward is killed or expires. So you'll keep this great vision for the 6 minutes that your observer ward lasts. Always keep in mind also that if you place a ward that blocks a camp, it can be nice to deny the enemy of golden XP, but it can also be a dead giveaway that it's warded there. If you value the vision your ward gives and you have the option to not block the camp, sometimes it's better to let it spawn. I've also noticed crit warding here, which gives great vision of the subscribe button. He must know that I'm trying to hit 50k this year. Please subscribe, thank you. Next is this spot to the left of this large camp. Great vision of the river to scout rotations and even sees a bit of the top of these stairs. Rue from Team Spirit likes this ward that's almost the same as the one I showed before, although this one is very hidden in trees and doesn't require any tree cutting. It also shows the Roche pit entrance, which can be very useful. If you want to keep things simple, do what Insania does and just place your ward right in the river. I've actually been seeing a lot of pros do this. The area is so open now, so a ward in pretty much any part of the river is going to be great at scouting lots of rotations. And of course, it's helpful for teamfights around Roche. Now a bit further up the river, near the bottom power rune. There used to be a nice cliff here that gave lots of vision. That's gone, so we gotta get creative, which is exactly what 1J from Chimera is doing. He has this really nice spot that sees the bottom power rune. It's pretty hidden behind trees, so it might be hard for your enemies to easily find. Or keep it a bit more simple like Katayomi and place it closer to the top of these stairs. It doesn't quite see the bottom power rune, but gives nice vision of the river and around this large camp. If you can break a tree, break this one and you'll have great vision of this river area, now including the power rune. Or across the river, break this tree and ward here. Similar value, seeing the river, power rune, and even the top of both of these stairs. Also, it's hidden behind trees, so it's not likely to be found. Flip to the other Roche pit and we see Rue warding right in the river, this time even at the start of the game. As mentioned before, these wards just see so much, and it even scouts the top power rune. Very simple but very high value. Katayomi is getting a bit more creative with this ward near the medium camp above Roche. It'll scout anyone moving to or from the dire jungle from these stairs, and anyone roaming around the jungle itself. A slight variant is to the left if you break this tree. This will give great vision of the camp in case anyone farms it. the path above, and still some of the river and these stairs to the right. It also won't block the camp, so hopefully not giving away your ward. If we move across these stairs, there's a nice ward spot here by Katayomi again. This one gives so much vision around Rosh and even the top of these stairs. If the enemy has a sentry in this area, they'll see your ward by standing at the top of these stairs. If you're worried about this, you can tuck the ward back a bit further into the trees. You'll be losing your vision of the top of the stairs, but you'll keep vision of the Rosh pit entrance. And more importantly, they won't see your ward unless they go looking for it. There's also this spot below if you can break this tree. You'll see the Rosh pit entrance, the top power rune, so much of the river, and even the top of these stairs. This is probably one of the better wards in this whole area, especially if you predict some action around Rosh. Or if you want to keep things simple, just do as Rue does and ward at the top of these stairs. It does give lots of vision in this whole area. And here are some extra spots that might be useful if the enemy has a gem. There's a little spot in the middle of these trees on the edge of this cliff. It's not a whole lot of vision, but when the enemy is running around dewarding all of your wards, any wards you can keep up are great. It offers nice vision of these two paths to see enemies moving in from the river or dire jungle. There's also this spot to the right if you break this tree. This one actually sees a lot of this right side of the dire jungle. And more importantly, these wards will not be very easy for enemies to find since they're hidden behind trees. Next is simple, but one I figured I should mention since I keep seeing it. Wards in the dire jungle around this area. I've mostly seen these wards being placed at the start of the game. Teams either looking to get vision down for an early fight or to scout early rotations. Simple but effective, I suppose. If we move down the stream, we'll get to one of my favorite wards in this new patch. This time by Insania from Team Liquid. It's to the left of where this dire jungle stream ends, a bit further past these stairs. I love this ward in the mid to late game when you're dire for a couple of reasons. First, it does a great job of scouting enemies farming in this area when you don't have very great control of your jungle, making it very easy to smoke and go kill them. It even sees the small camp. Second, it's great to place down if you know the enemies are about to push your tier 2 top tower. It'll see the enemies approaching and give great vision of their backline as they move further up. There are some alternatives to this, like closer to the stairs, or further back, or even further back. These further back wards are more useful for finding enemies that are just sitting in this part of the map farming. Often great when the enemy is trying to dodge you and push side lanes. If we move to the Radiant Secret Shop, there's this ward by Insania that sees a lot of important paths. The lane, these stairs leading into the dire jungle, and this area below near the Radiant Triangle. A great defensive ward if you're Radiant to scout enemies invading, or an offensive ward as Dire to scout enemies moving in these common paths to farm. And there used to be a cliff here that was a very common ward spot, but that's gone, so here are some alternatives. There's a little ledge here you can make use of. It'll give vision around these stairs and some vision around Rosh, even a bit of the entrance of the pit. Then there's this spot near the large camp if you break these trees. This is actually a really great ward as it gives full vision of the Rosh pit entrance, some of the river, this large camp if anyone's farming it, and even some of these stairs near the ancient camp. You have the option to block this camp or not if you don't want to give away your ward. Now for the Radiant Jungle. Nisha likes this ward in the center of the jungle at the top of these stairs. Insania likes a similar one near the top of these other stairs. They're pretty standard spots but give lots of really important vision in this jungle. A different one that I like a lot, again from Insania, is this one a bit further down. It sees all of this area above, including the camp, this path to the right, and even some of the lane below, which is great for scouting enemies moving out of the Radiant base. Then, just as we talked about before with the ward around these stairs on the Dire side, 1J from Chimera does the same thing for the Radiant side. This ward even gives some vision of the stream within the Radiant jungle. Then there are some slight alternatives like at the top of the other stairs to see more of the tier 2 tower, or on this little edge to see more of the side stream. Or again, if the enemy has a gem, hide your ward behind these trees. New map with lots of new places to ward. These are just some that I noticed from pro players and some that I found on my own. I'm sure there are tons of new ones still to be discovered. If you have any new favorite ward spots that I didn't mention, be sure to let all of us know in the comments. I've been streaming more recently, so be sure to check those out on Twitch and YouTube, and join our community Discord to see when I go live. We're so close to 800 members. Links to everything in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something new with me.